This tutorial will show you how to make your own hip-hop drum beat in Soundtrap, and I've got an empty Soundtrap song here that I'm going to start making my drum beat on. I'm first going to add a new track, which is here on the left-hand side, and then I'm going to choose the drums and machines to create my drum track. And it's going to come up with this thing at the bottom that they call the Patterns Beat Maker, which is where you can place your different drum beats and create your track. Before I get into that, I'm just going to change the tempo of my song. It defaults to 120 BPM. We want it a little bit faster. I'm going to make it by clicking on it and make it 140. So I'm just going to press plus until we get there. There we go. That little ticking sound you might be able to hear is what's called the metronome. It kind of shows the timing to keep you in time if you're playing along. I'm actually going to turn that off by pressing off just here on the metronome. So there we go. I've now got 140 BPM. Now, to start placing my beats, the kick drum for my kind of basic trap beat is going to start on beat 1, just like this. So kick drum here. Beat 1 is the very first part of the drum loop, and you can see that they're kind of divided into these groups of 4, and there are 4 groups of 4. Each of these groups of 4 is a beat with its kind of subdivisions next to it. So beat 1 is where our kick's going to go. Our snare's going to go on beat 3, which is the third group of 4. So there we go. There's 1, there's 2, and there's 3, and I'm going to place it just here. So that gives me my kick on beat 1 and my snare right in the middle on beat 3. I can now press play and have a listen. There we go, pretty basic so far. So now I'm going to put some hi-hats in. Now where I put my hi-hats in is going to be a little bit random. I'm going to try just dotting some around this grid, leaving some spaces, but also having lots of bits filled in. There we go. So I've just sort of put them in a little bit randomly, making sure that there's gaps and notes in there too. But hopefully, because my kick and snare are in quite logical places, it should keep it all together. Let's have a listen to that now. And that's kind of the basics of like your sort of trap style beat. So you've got your kick on 1, your snare on 3, and then your hi-hats dotted around. Once you've got that, you can customize it a little bit. So maybe I'm going to put in another snare drum. I'm just going to see what sounds good. Maybe I'm going to put another kick drum in here and see what sounds good. I'm not going to put in too much, not going to overdo it, but let's see if that sounds any good. Yeah, I think this one might be a little bit too much there. I'll have a bit of a play around with it. Now, you can also add in other sounds. If you press add just here, then you can find some different sounds by clicking on the down arrow menu here. And there are some other sounds that you could experiment with putting in too. What will really help you to shape the sound, though, is this part just here where at the moment it says I'm using an instrument called Tasty. That is the sounds that I've chosen. And if I press the left and right arrows, I can see what the exact same beat would sound like with a different drum instrument. So let's try cycling through a few until I find one that I like the sound of. Here we go. And as you can see, there's loads of different sounds. There we go. There's loads of different sounds. And if you click on it, you can choose from all sorts of different ones. There's tons of different sounds that you can choose from until you find the one that you really like. And you can kind of customize it however you would like to as well. Now, going to... So that's sort of how you make your basic drum beat. If you want to give it more of kind of almost like a drill type sound, there's a particular pattern of snares that can work quite well for that. I'm going to kick my kick where it is. And I'm going to put my pattern of snares going like this on beat 1. Then on the last section of beat 1, just here, so sort of 3 squares later, then I'm going to put it in the middle of this pattern here on beat 2, and then I'm going to repeat it. So on beat 3, at the end, and then in the middle. So this will be available for you to copy if you'd like to use it, and it creates a sound a bit like this, which with some big bass over the top can make a sort of more drill type sound. And you can put some hi-hats in there too. You can just dot those hi-hats around and see what sounds good. Let's try that now. Might be a little bit of a loud hi-hat sound on this drum kit, so that's where you can kind of switch through and see what it sounds good on. There we go. So what it's about is getting your drum beats in the right place and then choosing the sounds until it gives you the sound that you'd really like to have. And the next step is going to be adding some other instrumental parts on it. But that is how to make your drum beats.